So I think in this, the first of our eventually 5 surveys, there are 3 main takeaways from the data. The first is that this is clearly former President Trump's campaign to lose. He's over 50% in our survey, and he has a lot of folks who listed him as their second choice. There are a lot of others who had suggested that they were also considering him, and that's a sizable lead. There's no way to describe it other than the obvious and clear front runner, and then if nothing changes, he's going to win the Iowa caucuses. If, however, something changes, there's a second tier of candidates that are more or less tied, and that would be Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, former Ambassador Nikki Haley, businessman Vivek Ramaswamy, and South Carolina Senator Tim Scott. They're in that order behind Trump. Ron DeSantis has the second most of these first choice responses from our respondents, but the differences between them are relatively small. Each of those 4 has some strengths and weaknesses in the data. Tim Scott of those is 4th, so 5th overall, also behind Trump. But he also seems to have the least opposition. One of the questions we asked of our respondents was, is there a candidate you don't want to be the nominee? And those other 3 candidates, Ramaswamy, Haley, and DeSantis, had some reasonable sized opposition within the party. Scott was less than half of the rest of them. So he's doing pretty well. He's reached that sort of second tier status, and there doesn't seem to be a large block of the party that's opposed to him yet. So that gives him the opportunity to move up. He may have a higher ceiling than those other second tier candidates. After those candidates, there's a lot of everyone else. Most of the rest of these candidates just really haven't broken through. They get very little support, either in their sort of first choice, respondents' first choice for the caucuses, their second choice, or even whether or not they're considering a candidate. And most of them also don't have much opposition. It's like most respondents don't know anything about these candidates. The 2 exceptions, however, are former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie and, surprisingly to me, former Vice President Mike Pence. Christie is campaigning as anti-Trump, right? So it's not surprising that a large portion of the party is opposed to him. Former Vice President Pence, however, has more than 20% of our respondents did not want him to be the nominee, and less than 1% named him as their first choice candidate. In other words, there are 30 times more people who are opposed to Mike Pence than are supporting Mike Pence. I don't exactly know where he goes from that, but it looks like a real uphill fight for him for even to enter into that second tier of candidates.